His figure, stretched long by the 9 suns, loomed like a mountain 10,000 fathoms high. It cast a shadow over the endless earth, radiating a terrifying aura that made the ancient heaven realm tremble. A massive vertical eye, majestic as the heavens themselves, looked down on the world. Its pupil shifted, scanning the blood pool and the space giant king's land of demise, before finally locking onto Fang Chen. He didn't say a word, yet Fang Chen felt as if the world was collapsing around him. That tangible gaze landed on him like 10,000 swords, piercing his body. A being of this caliber could truly erase countless lives with a single look. As the pressure became unbearable, Luzhu silently stepped in front of him. The crushing weight instantly vanished. Luzhu bowed with visible effort. Luzhu greets the 5-star Giant King. The 5-star Giant King didn't spare Fang Chen another glance. He was here for something far more important. The Space Giant King has fallen. Who did it? Luzhu didn't dare hide the truth. It was Asura King Ari. The 5-star Giant King realized instantly he'd been baited away from his post. Their real target was the blood pool, not revenge against Luzhu. In fact, forcing Luzhu into a corner had likely been part of the plan all along. Only then would the 5-star Giant King leave the royal court to protect her. The blood pool's defenses had been left wide open. They planned this well, the 5-star Giant King muttered. He looked toward the blood pool. The guardian spirit is dead. If I had returned any later, the blood pool would have been destroyed. He extended a finger, letting a single drop of blood fall beside the blood pool. The drop immediately expanded into a massive barrier of vital energy, sealing the blood pool within. Nothing less than a venerable could break through it. Furthermore, if the barrier were attacked, he would sense it instantly and rush back. Watching this, Fang Chen sighed inwardly. There's no chance left to destroy the blood pool now. The 5-star Giant King's gaze fell on the spot where the Space Giant King had died. Where is his body? Luzhu looked equally confused. She remembered the Space Giant King only having his head crushed. His 60-meter frame should have been intact. Why was there not even a scrap left? Besides, Asura King Ari had been locked in combat with her the whole time. He wouldn't have had time to dispose of the corpse. Noticing Luzhu's confusion, the 5-star Giant King shifted his gaze to Fang Chen. You from the Central Plains, do you know? Fang Chen's heart hammered against his ribs. Had the 5-star Giant King discovered something? Likely not. If he knew Fang Chen had killed the Space Giant King, he wouldn't be wasting his breath with questions. He would have been erased already. I do, Fang Chen said. After Luzhu lost consciousness, Asura King retook the Space Giant King's body. The 5-star Giant King stared at Fang Chen, gauging the truth of his words. What else did he do? Fang Chen's eyes flickered. He also killed the spirit of the blood pool. The 5-star Giant King's gaze grew deeper and more intense. How? Fang Chen was puzzled. Why ask for details? Was this a test? He replied he used a crystal to kill it. After a brief pause, he added, but he was turned into a giant king by the blood spirit himself first. In the end, that crystal turned him back to normal. The 5-star Giant King glanced at the massive blood-stained skin on the ground. He stared at Fang Chen for a long moment before saying slowly, I see. The next second, a surge of physical killing intent erupted from his eyes. He was going to execute Fang Chen. Fang Chen's heart jolted. He barked out. The Space Giant King had final words before he died. The gaze that was about to obliterate him finally pulled back. The 5-star Giant King narrowed his eyes. Speak. Fang Chen's entire body throbbed with agony, as if he had just been torn limb from limb. The Space Giant King said he tracked down where the sky-touching black pillar moved. He stated. The 5-star Giant King narrowed his eyes. The sky-touching black pillar actually moved again. This is not good news. And to an unknown location, no less. Only the Space Giant King knew before he died. Keep talking. Fang Chen's voice darkened. If I tell you, you'll just kill me anyway. The 5-star Giant King's massive eyes locked onto Fang Chen with an icy glare. I do not like negotiating terms. Then kill me, Fang Chen scoffed. Have fun looking for it yourself. Killing intent flashed in the 5-star Giant King's eyes, but he restrained himself from striking rashly. Because the ancient giants simply didn't have the time to spare searching for the sky-touching black pillar. I said, you have no right to negotiate with me. When the Soul Giant King returns, he will just subject you to soul scouring, the 5-star Giant King stated apathetically. But until then, I'll sever your limbs. His gaze turned vicious once more. Luzhu was scared out of her wits. Fang Chen had incredible nerve, daring to lie to the 5-star Giant King and actually succeeding. The Space Giant King only knew the sky-touching black pillar had vanished. How could he possibly know where it went? This single piece of fake news had successfully duped the 5-star Giant King, buying Fang Chen a temporary lease on life. Seeing the 5-star Giant King about to mutilate Fang Chen, she gritted her teeth and sent a telepathic message. 5-star Giant King, you can't kill this man, nor should you harm him. He is of great use. The 5-star Giant King evaluated Fang Chen again, failing to notice anything unusual. Reason? Luzhu glanced sideways at Fang Chen, forced to reveal the truth. He bears the blood seal of the chaotic antiquity, Blood Marquis. Killing him will invite Blood Marquis Lu Angu straight to your door to slaughter you. The 5-star Giant King's pupils quivered, his perpetually calm and unwavering voice hitching with a slight tremor. Is that true? He looked back at Fang Chen, sizing him up with renewed scrutiny. Your subordinate wouldn't dare hide the truth, Luzhu replied. Eyes flashing, the 5-star Giant King extended his index finger, slowly pointing it at Fang Chen from across the room. Fang Chen instantly felt an irresistible force crushing down on him, pushing his body inch by inch toward the very brink of being pulverized to death. Just as he was about to give out, a blood-red character suddenly surfaced on his glabella. The 5-star Giant King immediately withdrew his hand, alarm flashing in his eyes. It really is Blood Marquis Luangu's mark, he transmitted telepathically. How could a mere nascent soul realm aunt provoke an entity like that? Then a wave of relief washed over him. It's a good thing you warned me. If I had unleashed a killing blow and ended him instantly, the blood seal would have transferred to me. This man is indeed of great use. We'll toss him to that 4-crown king of the Asura clan. If she unknowingly kills him outright, we won't have to worry about her anymore. Luzhu secretly breathed a sigh of relief. Fang Chen had, for now, managed to keep his life, and he'd be spared any further torture, even if it was only temporary. Luzhu, you've done a great deed. What reward do you seek? The 5-star Giant King's voice finally softened. Heart on guard, Luzhu replied, I was merely doing my duty. I require no reward. The 5-star Giant King declared, I am fair in rewards and punishments. A merit deserves a prize. You will be converted into a Giant King immediately. I shall crown you as my queen and help elevate your origin source as your reward. Luzhu bit her lip in secret. There was no way she wanted to become one of the ancient giants. Are you unwilling? The 5-star Giant King's tone grew harsh. It's a rare chance that you've come to the blood pool. Why wait? It happens today. Luzhu had been making excuses all along, but now that he had finally cornered her at the blood pool, there was no way he'd let her dodge it again. Luzhu was frantic with anxiety, deeply regretting ever coming to the blood pool. Now the 5-star Giant King was forcing her to undergo the transformation, and she had no power to refuse. Nearby, Fang Chen quietly rubbed his temples. He had just dragged himself back from the brink of death. He had already figured out what Luzhu and the 5-star Giant King feared about him, the blood seal of the chaotic antiquity Blood Marquis. With that card in hand, he was safe for now. Hearing the 5-star Giant King force Luzhu to transform into a Giant King, his mind raced, and he quickly came up with a plan to get her out of this mess. He acted confused. Luzhu, if you transform into a Giant King, who's going to go down to the lower realm to kill Venerable Heart? Bane. Luzhu snapped out of it. How could she have forgotten? This was the perfect excuse. She immediately spoke up. King of the Black Sun, I've wanted to transform into a Giant King for a long time, but now is really not the time. You might not know this, but the sky-touching black pillar moved because of someone named Venerable Heart, Bane in the Central Land Realm. He's the one who can move it. What? The 5-star Giant King's pupils shrank. When the sky-touching black pillar moved last time, he had feared it was sabotage, and now his worst fears were confirmed. If the Central Land Realm gained control of the sky-touching black pillar, it would severely affect their entire realm. They had to eliminate this person before going to war. Right now, the passage through the sky-touching black pillar was still too narrow, only wide enough for a petite member of the Asura clan like Luzhu to pass. This really wasn't the time for her transformation. Fine, we will deal with it after we conquer the Central Land Realm. Luzhu let out a long breath. She had dodged a bullet. Fang Chen also breathed a sigh of relief. The situation was temporarily under control. However, shortly after, several ancient giants arrived. Among them was the Stone Giant King, whom Fang Chen recognized immediately. He also spotted Fang Chen, instantly becoming shocked and enraged, but with the 5-star Giant King present, he didn't dare say a word and only threw a cold glare at Fang Chen. Fang Chen pretended not to know him, keeping his head down and playing dumb. The 5-star Giant King ordered, Gold Giant King, Shadow Giant King, starting today, the two of you will guard the blood pool. The former had an incredibly tough body and could hold his ground against powerful foes, while the Shadow Giant King was exceptionally elusive. If another enemy tried to destroy the blood pool, the two of them could buy enough time for the 5-star Giant King to arrive. The rest of you, follow me, it's time to eliminate our loose ends. The 5-star Giant King glanced at Fang Chen, pinning his hopes of killing the 4-crown Shura King on him. Luzhu, bring him along. Luzhu pursed her lips, sighing inwardly. Ultimately, Fang Chen couldn't escape this fate. Even if she wanted to let him go, the 5-star Giant King never would. Where are we going? Suddenly, Fang Chen's voice echoed in Luzhu's mind. Startled, she quickly glanced at the 5-star Giant King ahead. Seeing no reaction, she let out a sigh of relief. You really have a trick for everything, Luzhu grumbled to herself, unable to keep track of how many secret techniques Fang Chen had up his sleeve. Hearing his question, Luzhu couldn't bring herself to tell him what lay ahead. Overwhelmed with guilt, she messaged back, "Husband, thank you for saving me before. It touched me deeply, and thank you for getting me out of that tight spot just now. I am truly grateful. I'm really glad I met you." These words came from the bottom of her heart. From initially using him to now, she could no longer bear to send him to his death. She was even willing to keep living with him as a fake married couple. In the cold heaven realm, surrounded by the ancient giants, it was a comforting thought for two outsiders like them to lean on each other for survival. Unfortunately, the 5-star Giant King was going to use Fang Chen to kill the 4-crown Shura King, and she could only watch helplessly. Fang Chen was taken aback. "Wife, what are you talking about? I don't get it." Luzhu's eyes dimmed, and she replied bitterly, "Maybe it's better if you don't. Either way, I'm sorry." Fang Chen chuckled inwardly. At least this stubborn woman has a conscience and knows how to feel guilty. His eyes darted around as he tested the waters. "No, I'm the one who's sorry. I almost failed to protect you just now, nearly letting the 5-star Giant King force you into that transformation. Wife, does this 5-star Giant King have any weaknesses? Once I'm strong enough, I'll kill him to protect you." Luzhu felt a sharp pang of guilt. "You idiot, you're already on your way to your grave, and yet you're still worried about me." She shook her head slightly. He has no weaknesses. His power absolutely crushes everything. Fang Chen refused to give up and probed further. "Then what is his origin source? Since we can't find a weakness, let's at least gather some intel." Luzhu thought for a moment. No one knows what his origin source is, because there has never been an enemy strong enough to make him use it. Fang Chen frowned. Was the 5-star Giant King's origin source really that mysterious? Then again, it made sense. In the southern heaven realm, ruled by the ancient giants, there was simply no one who could match his might. But my guess is, it might be future sight. What? Fang Chen was shocked. That kind of origin source was absolutely terrifying. If he could see the future, he would be an absolute nightmare to fight. Before a battle even began, he'd already know his odds. Combined with his strength as a 5-star Giant King, he was practically invincible. What makes you think that? Luzhu frowned. "I tried to escape the Black Sun Royal Court 3 times, and he caught me every single time. You could say I left clues during my planning for the first 2 times, allowing him to catch on, but the last time was on a complete whim. I left the Black Sun Royal Court with absolutely no warning, yet he still anticipated my move and was waiting right in my path. Waiting there ahead of time." Fang Chen recalled the Aviasura King's shock when he saw the 5-star Giant King arrive. Such a massive scheme must have been calculated meticulously. How could they have miscalculated the 5-star Giant King's speed? According to their plan, there was no way the 5-star Giant King could have made it back in time. But he still came. The only logical explanation was that the 5-star Giant King had foreseen the crisis at the blood pool. That was why he abandoned his hunt for the 4-crown Shura King and rushed back just in time to save it. Fang Chen rubbed his pounding temples. Dealing with this 5-star Giant King was entirely out of an ordinary person's league. He could only pin his hopes on that 4-crown Shura King. If she could make the 5-star Giant King take her so seriously, her power had to be absolutely monstrous. He wondered what kind of person she was, and if she'd be easy to reason with. "Wifey, are we heading to your nemesis right now?" "I still don't know what this rival of yours is even like." Fang Chen probed cautiously. Luzhu immediately bristled with anger. What else could she be? A toxic, venomous snake of a woman. What kind of description is that? Fang Chen pressed. What does she look like? Luzhu muttered reluctantly. She's gorgeous, drop, dead gorgeous, like a fairy. Fang Chen blinked in surprise. Luzhu hated her guts, yet praised her beauty so highly, it made absolutely no sense to Fang Chen. Just how beautiful? Luzhu pointed at herself. She looks exactly like me. Fang Chen's eyes went wide, staring at her in utter shock. Did I hear that right? You two are identical. What's your relationship? He thought back to the Pearl Demon Empress and her children. Only blood relatives would be carved from the exact same mold, right? Luzhu looked away uncomfortably. She's my older sister, my twin sister. The unexpected answer left Fang Chen momentarily stunned. He thought they were mortal enemies locked in a blood feud, but they were actually biological sisters. He pinched the bridge of his nose. Why is your sister out to get you? Earlier, when the Avasai Asura king attacked, her strikes had been aimed to kill Luzhu without a shred of mercy. It was obvious her sister genuinely wanted her dead. How should I know? Luzhu gritted her teeth, her voice dripping with pure hatred. She's a psycho. I've had enough of her. Fang Chen's heart sank. It sounded like this for Crown Shura King wasn't going to be easy to deal with at all. Several hours later, they stood before massive ruins. Traces of a once bustling city could faintly be seen, but now only rotting, devastated rubble remained. In the center of the ruins, a giant blue ring was embedded into the ground, revealing a bottomless spatial void. Fang Chen frowned thoughtfully and sent a telepathic message. Wifey, is this a stronghold? Luzhu nodded. Yeah. It's a temporary stronghold we created after a long period of trial and error. It's equally protected by the rules of heaven and earth, making it impossible for the ancient giants to enter. However, it can only last for a few days at most. It's strictly for temporary survival. Fang Chen suddenly understood. As prey hunted for so long, the Asura clan was gradually evolving too. Over time, they had developed numerous methods to fight back against the ancient giants. No wonder the 4 Crown Shura King could keep the 5 Star Giant King and the rest of the ancient giants at bay. She had this kind of trump card. Just then the 5 Star Giant King looked toward Luzhu and sent a cold telepathic command. Take this person from the central plains to prepare. Wait for the right moment, then send him in. Luzhu's delicate frame trembled, a look of profound sorrow filling her eyes. The moment had finally come. She nodded silently, pulling Fang Chen away to a distant spot. With a wave of her hand, she cast out a barrier of Black Yin Kai to isolate the two of them. Luzhu struggled to speak, gazing at Fang Chen without knowing how to even begin. Fang Chen let out a soft sigh and gripped her shoulders. The 5 Star Giant King ordered you to convince me to go down there and deal with your nemesis, didn't he? Luzhu lowered her head, unable to meet his gaze. If you go down there, you'll definitely die. Fang Chen just smiled. Going down there was exactly what he wanted. Without hesitation, he stripped off his shirt, revealing his fair skin. He pulled out the shards of the abyssal hell crystal and began rubbing them over his body. Don't worry, wifey. Didn't you give me these? Once I smear them on, I won't have to fear an attack from a soul transformation venerable. Hearing this only deepened Luzhu's crushing guilt. It was exactly because of these shards that he would die even faster. That toxic woman would be instantly enraged and slaughter Fang Chen on the spot. Husband Luzhu grabbed his hand, desperately trying to stop him. But if he didn't put it on, would he survive? Even if he went down without it, that vicious woman would still tear him to shreds. Applying it would actually make the enemy strike with brutal precision, killing him instantly and painlessly. What's wrong, wifey? Fang Chen asked. Luzhu hesitated for a moment, then took the jade box. Let me help you, she said. Holding the fragments, she began to rub them over Fang Chen's body, inch by inch, with her cool hands. Fang Chen couldn't help but blush. Wifey, I can do it myself. Luzhu didn't say a word. There was no embarrassment in her eyes, only deep guilt. This was the only thing left she could do for Fang Chen. Before long, the jade box was empty. Luzhu's delicate hands had applied the powder all over Fang Chen's body. By now, Fang Chen's face was bright red. Even Fairy Cloud raiment had never touched him like this. All done? Fang Chen asked, putting his clothes back on. Luzhu remained silent as she brought out the coffin once more, releasing the deity transformation corpse from inside. My husband, you should refine this yin corpse, she said. This was her final way of making things up to Fang Chen. Though it wouldn't be of much use against the 4 Crown Shura King, it was still the last thing she could do. Fang Chen was overjoyed. Wait, really? There's a bonus like this. Trying to act cool, he smiled and said, "Thanks, wifey." He immediately activated the art of the yin corpse to refine it. To his surprise, before his palm could even touch the yin corpse, a massive, invisible force bounced him back. He looked a bit embarrassed. The previous owner left a soul brand on this body. I don't think I can refine it. That's easy, Luzhu said. Channeling a blast of yin kai into her palm, she struck the yin corpse hard. Under her blow, multiple soul brands containing the soul transformation aura of venerable evil crow were forced out of the body one by one. This body was now completely masterless. Yuanzhu then pressed her palm onto the corpse, suppressing the deity transformation realm aura of the yin corpse so that it became as inert as a block of wood. This gave Fang Chen the chance to refine it. Otherwise, a deity transformation realm yin corpse would have been far too powerful for Fang Chen to imprint. "Wifey, you're too good to me," Fang Chen said with a smile. His smile pierced Yuanzhu's heart. Lowering her head, she murmured, "Hurry and refine it, husband." Fang Chen activated his cultivation method once more. This time, his palm pressed easily against the deity transformation corpse, driving his own brands into its various energy nodes. Refining a corpse of such a high cultivation realm must have been an exhausting struggle for venerable evil crow. Yet, with the help of his two crowned Shura king wife, it was effortless for Fang Chen. As his brand penetrated deeper, Fang Chen gradually established a mental connection with the deity transformation corpse. After an incense stick's time, the final brand successfully merged. Fang Chen had gained complete control over the deity transformation corpse. It was now entirely his. Even if venerable evil crow himself showed up, he wouldn't be able to command it anymore. However, Fang Chen realized he could only manage simple movements, like twitching its fingers. Deploying it in actual combat was still out of the question. Yuanzhu wasn't surprised. First, your cultivation is too low. Second, your yin kai is too weak. In the future, she stopped herself. There was no future left. Just then, the stone giant king's impatient voice echoed from outside, "What's taking so long?" Yuanzhu's delicate body trembled slightly. She took Fang Chen's hand, her crystal, clear eyes swirling with a storm of emotions. Fang Chen gently pinched her cheek. "I'll be fine. Do you remember what you promised me once I destroy your great enemy?" Yuanzhu couldn't bring herself to be annoyed. Overwhelmed by sadness, she nodded and murmured, "I remember. I will serve you well, my husband." A playful smirk played on Fang Chen's lips. "Then I'll hold you to that." With that, he let go of her hand and stepped out of the yin kai. Unable to bear the sight, Yuanzhu closed her eyes in agony. Outside, the stone giant king glared at Fang Chen, sneering, "What took you so long? Did you think dragging your feet would buy you more time? With so many giant kings here, don't harbor any foolish hopes. Just accept your fate." Fang Chen offered a cool smile. "So eager to see me dead. Are you that afraid your embarrassing secrets will get out?" The stone giant king gnashed his teeth. "You bastard. If the Black Sun King didn't need you, I would have eaten you alive already. Now shut up and move." Fang Chen chuckled and followed him to the blue ring of light. The 5-star giant king glanced at Fang Chen. Spotting the black powder on his skin, he immediately understood the plan. Coating himself in the dust of a 4-crowned Shura king's abyssal hell crystal was the ultimate provocation. There was no way the Shura king wouldn't slaughter him instantly, saving the giant king the trouble of getting his own hands dirty. "Go down," the 5-star giant king commanded coldly. Fang Chen peered down. The pit beneath the blue ring was a bottomless abyss. There was no telling where that 4-crowned Shura king was hiding. Without a word, under the watchful eyes of the giant kings, he leaped straight into the blue ring. Sensing the movement, Yuanzhu sank to her knees. Tears welled up in her crystal, like eyes as she whispered, "I'm sorry, Wang Chongsu." The wind rushed past Fang Chen's ears as he plummeted. Once he looked up and saw the ancient giants were out of sight, he stopped his descent. Hurriedly stripping off his clothes, he scraped off every single fragment of the abyssal hell crystal. This was abyssal hell crystal, after all, rubbing it all over your body as disposable bait. Even the brainless heir of a wealthy lord wouldn't squander resources like that. Staring at the clumps of dead skin he'd just scraped off his body, he frowned at the thought of compressing it into crystals and swallowing them. Okay, is it just me, or is this incredibly gross? But then he shrugged, letting it go. Whatever. It's for the Asura clan, not me. He summoned the mountains and rivers cauldron and tossed the powder inside. Channeling his energy, thick black smoke billowed from the cauldron as the powder rapidly condensed. Moments later, 10 glittering, pitch-black crystal stones rested quietly at the bottom of the cauldron. They were complete abyssal hell crystals, game-changing treasures capable of boosting an Asura king's cultivation realm. He highly doubted this for Crown Shura King could resist a temptation like that. Pocketing the abyssal hell crystals, he drifted deeper into the abyss, keeping his eyes peeled for her. To make sure he didn't get blasted on sight, he called out softly, "Hey, Senior, I'm from the Central Plains. The ancient giants kidnapped me and threw me down here to mess with you, but I'm actually on your side." Before the echo of his voice died down, a cool, detached voice drifted up from the depths. "Since when are we on the same side?" Fang Chen peered down. A tiny speck of light flickered in the absolute darkness. He carefully glided down toward it. As he got closer, he saw a beautiful woman radiating a soft, gentle glow. She wore a black gold, threaded gown with flowing sleeves, her long hair draped over her shoulders. Her elegant profile featured a high, delicate nose bridge, and she wore a pair of gold-framed reading glasses. Sitting gracefully in a chair, she was quietly flipping through a book, exuding an air of mature, intellectual sophistication. Her face was identical to Yuanju's, yet it was impossible to mistake one for the other. The vibe check was completely different. How could twin sisters be this polar opposite? Fang Chen quickly stepped forward with a respectful bow. "I am Wang Chongsu of the Central Plains. Greetings, Senior. May I ask your name?" The intellectual beauty didn't even look up from her book. "If you're using a fake name, why should I tell you mine?" she said coolly. Fang Chen felt a jolt of alarm. How did she know he was lying? "That is my real name," he insisted, keeping his poker face. She gently closed the book and slowly turned to face him, uncrossing her long, slender legs. Her eyes were calm but fathomless. "The ancient giants wouldn't drop a mere aperture nascent soul cultivator down here without a reason. I assume you carry something meant to kill me. But you refused to be a puppet, so you warned me to avoid an accidental death. You're cautious, and someone as cautious as you would never easily reveal their true name." Fang Chen froze. This woman was terrifyingly sharp. With just a few tiny clues, she had completely deconstructed the ancient giant's entire plot. He suddenly realized that compared to her sister, Luzhu was playing in a sandbox. Luzhu's little scheme to smear the abyssal hell crystal on herself probably looked like a toddler's game of house to this woman. Trying to play mind games with her? Yeah, not going to happen. He cleared his throat and took on a serious tone. "Fair enough. I am Liang Feiyan. How should I address you, Senior?" The woman in the black dress stared at him calmly. "Since you're so close with my sister, didn't she tell you?" Fang Chen's pupils contracted. "How did you know I met your sister?" This time his shock was genuine. The woman in black replied smoothly, "Simple. You weren't surprised when you saw me. My sister would never casually mention our relationship to anyone, let alone tell them we share the exact same face. The fact that you didn't even blink when you saw me means you were already prepared for it. Which means you must be a close friend of hers." Fang Chen took a sharp breath. Her analytical mind was bordering on terrifying. He went on high alert, nodding slowly. "Yes, I have a history with your sister, Luzhu. And this time, I came here specifically for you." Specifically, her dark crystal, like eyes locked onto Fang Chen. "Are you going to tell me that getting thrown down here by the ancient giants was part of your plan all along?" Fang Chen smiled faintly. "Aside from the sudden appearance of the five-star giant king, things have gone pretty much according to script." The woman in black finally looked at Fang Chen with real interest. She was starting to realize he wasn't as simple as he appeared. "You came to find me so I would deal with the five-star giant king, buying your Central Plains some breathing room." After a brief moment, she deduced his entire agenda. Fang Chen chuckled. "I love talking to smart people. You're right in taking Grand Province. We currently have no one capable of standing up to the five-star giant king. If he descends to the lower realm, even all the soul transformation venerables of our taking Grand Province working together won't be enough to stop him. We need someone powerful enough to keep him busy." She tapped her finger on her book. After a brief pause, she shook her head, declining the offer. "I am no match for him unless I reach the stage of a five-crown Shura king." She felt she had overestimated Fang Chen. If she had the strength to take on the five-star giant king, she wouldn't be hiding in this makeshift camp. She would have slaughtered her way out long ago. But Fang Chen's next words made her calm, crystalline eyes narrow. "Then I'll help you become a five-crown Shura king." Fang Chen opened his hand, revealing a single abyssal hell crystal resting in his palm. The woman stood up instantly. "A complete abyssal hell crystal," she breathed. She wanted to ask where he got it, but she knew she wouldn't get a straight answer anyway. Any explanation he gave would just be a lie, so she swallowed her question. Her gaze locked onto the abyssal hell crystal, completely transfixed. She was hooked. "Aren't you afraid I'll take this abyssal hell crystal and go back on my word?" Fang Chen tossed the abyssal hell crystal to her. We have plenty more abyssal hell crystals back in the central land realm. If our partnership goes well, I can get you more. If not, consider this a freebie, a gesture of goodwill. She caught it, her heart racing. This was an abyssal hell crystal, the ultimate holy grail for the Asura clan. And yet, this was their very first meeting, and he had just handed it over without hesitation. She pushed up her glasses, her eyes deep and searching. Since you've shown such sincerity, Master Liang, I have no reason to decline a deal that benefits us both. However, we are talking about a cross-realm alliance, keeping the 5 Star Giant King busy isn't a matter of a few days. It means holding the line for the duration of the war, which could drag on for months, or even years. We need a bond of mutual trust. Without it, this alliance will crumble at the first sign of trouble. Fair point, Fang Chen nodded. What did you have in mind? The woman in black cut straight to the chase. Throughout history, nothing builds alliances faster than a political marriage. A marriage? Fang Chen looked at her, then down at himself. Don't tell me you mean us. Reading his mind, she gave a slight shake of her head. I don't marry outside my tribe. Don't flatter yourself. Fang Chen scoffed. I wasn't exactly offering either. They met each other's gaze and said in perfect unison, we each pick a candidate. They both paused. Strangely enough, they were completely on the same wavelength. She broke eye contact first. There's a girl in my tribe named Xuanxuan. She's gorgeous, vibrant, and incredibly sweet. I won't let her be mistreated. I expect you to choose someone who knows how to treat a lady right. Fang Chen racked his brain for a candidate on his end. If anyone knew how to smooth arc a woman, it was the West Sea's resident playboy, the West Sea Crown Prince. But the guy was a total scoundrel. Would he ruin this poor Xuanxuan girl? Then it hit him, wait a minute. Why would she offer up her best tribe member as a sacrificial pawn for a political marriage? Plus, she had blurted out the name without a second thought, like she was dying to get rid of the girl. Fang Chen grinned, his hesitation vanishing. Back in the Central Plains, we have the West Sea Crown Prince. Tall, handsome, loaded with cash, highly emotionally intelligent, and famously loyal. She gave him a deadpan look. She could clearly tell that the only true words in that sentence were West Sea Crown Prince. You 2014, everything else was pure fiction. But that was fine, neither was she telling the truth. Then we have a match, she said, a faint smile ghosting across her lips. A pleasure doing business with you, Fang Chen chuckled. In his head, Fang Chen silently added, sorry, Crown Prince, you'll just have to take one for the team. They spent the next few minutes ironing out the details exactly how long she needed to stall the 5 Star Giant King, the delivery of a single abyssal hell crystal. Extraction methods, and when and where the happy couple would meet. In half a month, she finally said, I'll smuggle Xuanxuan to the sky-touching black pillar so she can descend to your world. Be ready to receive her at the base of the sky-touching black pillar. With her strength, she can easily force her way through 2014 unless the 5 Star Giant King is guarding it personally. I won't be coming down with her, though, if the ancient giants lock down the sky-touching black pillar. She'd be permanently cut off from the heaven realm. No need to go to all that trouble. Just give me the coordinates to your village. An expert back in the Central Plains will physically move the sky-touching black pillar directly to your doorstep. She pushed up her gold-rimmed glasses, narrowing her eyes at Fang Chen. Your Central Plains forces can actually move the sky-touching black pillar. Fang Chen nodded. A guy named Venerable Xinpan can pull it off. Her eyes narrowed further. A vital asset like that, someone as cautious as you wouldn't casually drop his name unless you had an ulterior motive. He's your mortal enemy, isn't he? You're trying to use the heaven realm to wipe him out. Damn, this woman was terrifyingly sharp. Fang Chen just shrugged, neither confirming nor denying it. Either way, that's the plan. And hey, if your village ever wants to migrate down to the Central Plains, we'd gladly take you. In this village alone, he had spotted 3 Asura kings. If he could lure them back down to the Central Plains, wouldn't that be 2014 thanks for the offer? But we'll pass. With the ancient ruins as our stronghold, our village is far safer than the Central Plains, she explained. Fang Chen hid his disappointment, just as he suspected. There was a very good reason this village didn't fear the ancient giant's great hunt. All right, but the offer still stands. Look me up if you ever change your mind. Fang Chen glanced up at the sky. Well, my tour of the heaven realm ends here. Time for me to head back. Hold on, the woman's voice stopped him in his tracks. Behind the crystal lenses, her dark eyes bored into him. Keep your hands off Luzhu. Fang Chen blinked, utterly bewildered. Excuse me. You heard me, she said coldly. Do not touch her. Fang Chen averted his gaze, suddenly defensive. We're just friends. She didn't blink. Friends don't embrace. They don't kiss each other numb. And they certainly don't bury their faces in each other's chests. A distinct edge of irritation flared in her voice. Fang Chen's jaw practically hit the floor. The first two things weren't exactly secrets, but nobody else saw me feed Luzhu those 10 spirit pills while she was unconscious. If she didn't even know, how did this woman in black find out? Does she have the same powers as the 5-star giant king? Can she see through time or witness the past? The woman in black stared him down. I'm curious. How did you convince Luzhu to let you take such liberties with her? She might not be a genius, but she's no fool either. Fang Chen cleared his throat awkwardly. Senior, you've got the wrong guy. The woman in black stepped forward on her long, slender legs, grabbed his hand, and pressed it firmly against her own waist. She said calmly, the fit is identical. If it wasn't you, then who else could it be? Fang Chen was completely thrown. He had never touched her waist. How could she describe the sensation so perfectly, as if she had been there? Suddenly a thought flashed through his mind that seemed too wild to believe. Wait, do you and Luzhu share a psychic link? It was the only thing that made sense. That was how she knew he'd kissed Luzhu. It also explained why such a sharp, composed woman was obsessed with making Luzhu's life a living hell, the very reason Luzhu called her a madwoman. Everything that happened to Luzhu was synced to her body. If Luzhu was hurt, the pain would be transmitted faithfully to the woman's consciousness. Even the slightest physical touch Luzhu felt was transmitted directly into her mind, without missing a single detail. Day after day, year after year, it had been like this. It was pure torture. Anyone would be driven insane by that. The woman's expression flickered. She clearly regretted saying enough for Fang Chen to piece the truth together. Her gaze sharpened into a glare. Remember this, don't you ever touch her again. Fang Chen covered his mouth, his eyes drifting toward her full chest. If that was the case, kissing Luzhu was effectively kissing her. Brushing against Luzhu's chest meant he was brushing against hers too. All this time, Fang Chen had been inadvertently taking advantage of the 4-crown Shura king. This, Fang Chen's eyes nearly popped out of his head. No wonder someone with her cold personality had gone out of her way to warn him off Luzhu. She literally couldn't stand him anymore. I'll try my best, he stammered. The woman bit her lip. Try, it's not an option. You will not touch her. If you cross the line with her again, don't think I won't kill you right along with her. Fang Chen muttered an agreement and quickly dropped the subject. Senior, I need to get going. I'll need your help to leave the Southern Heaven Realm. With the 5-star giant king guarding the area, his spatial teleportation would be intercepted. Getting out wasn't going to be easy. But since this woman was brave enough to stay here and draw the giant king's fire, she must have planned an exit strategy. The woman in black glanced at him, then wait 2 days. She sat cross-legged as faint wisps of yin kai began to swirl and pulsate around her chest. She was no longer hiding the effort it took to suppress the pain racking her body. Fang Chen asked, confused, Are you injured? It's the trauma from Luzhu. While her physical wounds don't transfer, the pain comes through in its entirety. Luzhu hadn't fully recovered yet, so the pain lingered. As long as she was in this much pain, moving was difficult for her. Fang Chen had no choice but to sit and wait. He asked curiously, Senior, why is this soul transmission only one way? If you both shared the sensations, Luzhu would have realized long ago why she was being targeted. The woman kept her eyes closed, her voice cold, and who exactly should I ask about that? She couldn't hide the trace of resentment in her tone. Fang Chen asked again, Does distance dull the pain? She went silent for a moment before answering, slightly, but it's limited. Everything clicked. That was why she had been so hell-bent on kicking Luzhu out of the village. It wasn't because she was jealous or hated Luzhu, who she just wanted to reduce the constant sensory feedback from her. He rubbed his chin thoughtfully. So if you kill her, you'll take a massive hit yourself, right? The woman in black replied coldly, Better a short, sharp pain than a long, dull ache. Fang Chen thought for a moment, but if she actually dies, what happens to you? The woman slowly opened her eyes. She didn't speak, but her gaze wavered with uncertainty. That was the only reason Luzhu was still breathing. Whether killing Luzhu would backfire on her was hard to say. Seeing her hesitation, a sharp glint flickered in Fang Chen's eyes. Senior, I have a win-win solution, he said. Why not just ship Luzhu off to the Central Land Realm? With an entire realm between you, her influence on you should drop to basically 0. That way, you don't have to risk killing her, and you're finally free from the torture." The woman adjusted her glasses, a spark of interest lighting up her deep eyes. Would that actually work? The two realms had been sealed off before, so the thought had never crossed her mind. Now, it was a genuine possibility. Then, concern clouded her face again. The Central Land Realm isn't exactly welcoming to hellish beings, is it? She's an Asura king, won't she be hunted down? If Luzhu dies in the Central Land Realm, and it hits me, this whole plan backfires. Fang Chen could barely suppress his smirk. "With me there, you can rest easy. Hand your sister over, I'll take good care of her." Hearing that, the woman finally realized his game. She let out a dry laugh. "You're trying to scout my sister as a venerable to fight the ancient giants for the Central Plains. Bold move." Fang Chen didn't even try to hide it. "Hey, you tell me, is it a win or not?" She stared at him for a long beat before slowly nodding. "Fine, my sister is in your hands." She pulled a black talisman from her sleeve and tapped her brow, infusing it with a drop of essence blood. "This contains my bloodline talent. Slap it on her forehead when she's not looking, and her memory erasure will be complete. I only have one, so don't miss." Fang Chen was ecstatic as he took the talisman. If Luzhu never came to the Central Plains, fine, but if she did, she wasn't leaving. It was about time she tasted what it felt like to have her memory wiped. It wasn't every day Fang Chen met a high-level, cooperative Asura king. He wasn't about to pass up the chance to grill her about the infernal realm. "Senior, can I ask you a few more things?" Since the boy had put her in a good mood, the woman was happy to play along. Fang Chen mused. "Senior, what's the lifespan of the Asura clan? I once met a remnant soul who'd been around for at least 1,000 years. He was talking about Hua Xin, of course. It was time he finally figured out who this mystery woman really was. The woman's eyes snapped open in surprise. A remnant soul that lasted a millennium. Then in her prime, she must have been way beyond an Asura king. At least an Asura emperoric, equivalent to a great sage realm cultivator of the human race. Fang Chen's heart skipped a beat. Hua Xin really was a big deal. After a moment's thought, he pulled out the nether soul crystal. "Truth be told, she's right here." The woman peered into the crystal. She saw 3 souls. She brushed past the 2 humans, her gaze locking onto Hua Xin. "What a resilient soul. Are you sure this is 1,000-year-old remnant soul? It looks like it was created yesterday." Hua Xin was lounging in a chair, munching on some yin kai vegetables, when she felt that powerful gaze. She bolted upright, staring out through the crystal in shock. "A 4, Crown Shura King. Fang Chen, you're playing with fire. She's from the mind. Forget Asura clan. She can use memory erasure." The woman glanced at Fang Chen. "So your name is Fang Chen, not Lord Liang Feiyan?" Fang Chen rubbed his nose. "Names are just details." "Do you recognize her, Senior? Any idea who she is?" The woman took off her gold-rimmed glasses. Her scholarly vibe faded, replaced by a stunning, raw intensity. Without the lenses blocking her, a power she couldn't even fully control surged out. Images began to flicker across Hua Xin's form projections of her past life. "Is this soul-scouring?" Fang Chen was stunned. No wonder she wore glasses. They must be a specialized Dharma artifact to keep her ocular techniques from accidentally searching others' memories. Most of the images above Hua Xin were fragmented and broken. It was hard to find anything useful. It seemed Hua Xin hadn't been lying when she said she'd forgotten herself. The woman shook her head slightly. "She's just a remnant soul. There isn't much left to remember." Just as the search reached its limit, a clear image appeared. It was from Hua Xin's perspective. She stood at the top of a massive staircase, looking up at 9 stunningly beautiful figures in the sky. They were pristine, radiating holy light, each possessing 9 pairs of snow-white wings. Hua Xin stood alone against them. In her raised hand was something Fang Chen knew all too well, the judgment pen. The tip of the judgment pen was bright as fresh blood. The word death written by it pulsed with such intense killing intent that it felt real. The woman's eyes stung, and she slammed them shut, shattering the memory from the depths of Hua Xin's soul. Was that our Hellrace world artifact, the judgment pen? The woman struggled to open her eyes, her face pale with shock. Who was she? How could she possibly wield the judgment pen? Fang Chen stayed relatively calm. The judgment pen had come from Hua Xin's own pocket dimension. Knowing she once owned it was expected. What confused him were the 9 freaks she was facing, radiating holiness with 9 pairs of wings each. Those beings definitely didn't belong in the Central Land Realm. This remnant soul has a massive background. Aren't you afraid of the karma you'll attract by keeping her around? The woman stared at Hua Xin, her shock still evident. Fang Chen was speechless. This lady does nothing but eat and drink all day. I don't think any amount of karma could be that deep. He was then kicked the crystal wall in a rage. You brat, where did you learn the hell language? Did some stray ghost teach you? Fang Chen scoffed. You are a stray ghost. Besides, you're still holding out on me. He shifted gears and pulled out the bronze item from the hellish desolate beast. Senior, what's the deal with the Hell Realm script on this? The woman looked and her pupils contracted again. This is a ritual Dharma artifact. It can summon an avatar of an infernal realm lord. What? Fang Chen jumped, if he understood correctly. A realm lord was on the same level as an ancient saint from the Central Plains. This artifact could call down an avatar of one. A flash of longing crossed the woman's eyes, followed by disappointment. Unfortunately, we are in the heaven realm. Even if you summon an avatar, crossing 3 realms would weaken it to the point of being useless. Fang Chen thought back to the projections of the ancient demon house and blood Marquis Luangu. The demon house's avatar was only at the deity transformation realm, and blood Marquis Luangu's, who knows how far it had traveled, was only at the nascent soul realm. Fang Chen asked eagerly, does the summoned avatar have its own consciousness? The woman in black said, no, but the summoner can order him to make a single move. Fang Chen's heart hammered in his chest. Senior, he asked, what about the writing on it? She shook her head. Even that remnant soul knew better than to tell you. I certainly won't say a word. If Fang Chen brought this artifact into the infernal realm, he could summon a perfect clone of the realm lord. That would be nothing short of a catastrophe for the beings of the infernal realm. She glanced at the bronze artifact, briefly tempted to take it back, but considering their far more critical alliance, she dismissed the thought. Fang Chen curled his lip. Fine, I'll figure something out myself. I might just have to ask his source pearl wife for help. The woman in black gave Fang Chen a long, searching look. She had expected simple questions, but each one left her more stunned than the last. I will answer one final question for you, she said. Fang Chen did indeed have one more important question regarding the hellish beings. He said solemnly, to be honest, I received reliable information that among our great sage realm experts in the Central Plains, there is a hidden member of the Asura clan. With the war between the Central Plains and the Heaven Realm, a great sage realm expert from the Infernal Realm hiding in the Central Plains is definitely bad news. A great sage realm expert, the woman in black was slightly surprised. Then your Central Plains truly does have a massive threat looming in the shadows. Because there is only one race capable of hiding among other living beings without being detected while quietly cultivating to such a high realm, the bloodthirsty Shura lineage. They are exceptionally skilled at masking their presence. Unless they choose to reveal themselves, they are almost impossible to detect. To think he has already cultivated to the great sage realm, heaven knows how much blood of your central land denizens he has sucked, and how many Central Plains experts he has enthralled as his puppets. If he suddenly strikes, your casualties will be catastrophic. That was exactly what Fang Chen was worried about. Senior, is there any way to flush him out? She shook her head. You are overestimating me. I am merely an Asura king, whereas he is already an Asura emperor, and a bloodthirsty Shura at that, masters of stealth. If you want to find him, you'll have to rely on your wits. Fang Chen's heart sank slightly. This was going to be trouble. She laughed despite herself. To be blunt, this is a problem for your Central Plains great sages to worry about. There's no need to stress yourself over it. True enough, Fang Chen said, performing a cupped fist salute. Thank you, Senior, for clearing up my doubts. With that, he sat cross-legged beside her and watched her heal while pulling out a small pouch. Inside was the breathing soil he had obtained from the stone giant. He pulled out the seed capable of freezing a person's body and buried it inside. I wonder what this thing will transform into once it grows. Fang Chen muttered, his curiosity piqued. After putting it away, he took out the Wind Origin Star. The woman in black, who had already closed her eyes, opened them once more and stared at the star in astonishment. The Origin Star, known as the Mother of Wind Giants, actually ended up in your hands. What do you even plan to do with it? Fang Chen said, I want to see if I can comprehend its origin source. If I can, my Texu flowing wind energy can reach the level of my fire energy, bringing it close to great mastery. In time, achieving consummation won't be difficult. Isn't the origin source of your human race something only those in the deity transformation realm can comprehend? She asked. Once one becomes a venerable, their perception of the world reaches a divine level. Only on that foundation can they comprehend the source of all things and condense an origin source. Attempting it directly with a sliver of an origin source at your current cultivation realm, surely your perception of the world isn't sharp enough to comprehend it yet. Fang Chen didn't say much. Holding the wind origin star in his hand, he closed his eyes to perceive it. Sending a thread of consciousness into the star, he felt the wind origin essence up close. Just as the woman in black had said, the prerequisite to condensing an origin source was to comprehend it and understand its true nature. Fang Chen simply treated the thing before him as a cultivation method, attempting to comprehend it piece by piece. At first, it indeed felt incredibly difficult, like facing a primordial chaos. It was far more obscure and difficult to grasp than any cultivation method he had ever read. An entire day passed with no results. It wasn't until the gentle rustling of leaves echoed in his mind that his thoughts suddenly cleared. He finally gained a trace of understanding regarding this chaotic wind origin essence. What is wind? It is the movement of Kai, the direction of the mind. It is omnipresent, yet goes everywhere. It is born of motion, and perishes as it flows. His eyes grew clear. Another day passed. The woman in black, who was currently soothing her pain, seemed to sense something. She snapped her eyes open and stared at Fang Chen beside her. Above his head hovered a tiny sesame seed-sized speck of green light, enveloped by invisible currents of air. Her eyes widened, and she gasped in shock. Wind origin essence. How could you possibly comprehend it just like that? Just how monstrous is your comprehension? For a moment, she actually regretted arranging a marriage alliance with that West Sea prince. She should have chosen an exceptional female clan member from her village to marry Fang Chen instead. That way, Fang Chen would have belonged to their village. As a crown Shura king, she saw limitless potential in him. Fang Chen slowly opened his eyes, a look of helplessness on his face. Unfortunately, this is the limit of what I can comprehend. Her willow leaf brows twitched. Was he showing off? An origin source was exclusive to venerables. The fact that he could comprehend even a fraction of it was already absurd, yet he was complaining it was too little. She shook her head and stood up. I've recovered. Are you ready? Fang Chen quickly stood up and asked, Senior, how do you plan on leaving? She looked up toward the ceiling. Simple. She pulled out a handful of shriveled beans that looked as if they had been kept for ages. Splitting them in half, she handed one portion to Fang Chen and said, Sprinkle your blood on them. She then sliced her finger open, sprinkled her essence blood onto her own beans, and tossed them to the ground. The moment the beans hit the ground, thick white smoke billowed out. As the smoke cleared, dozens of women in black appeared, all carrying the exact same aura as her. Could this be the legendary turning beans into soldiers, a technique used by immortals in the storyteller's tales? Fang Chen gasped in astonishment. The woman in black said, They are immortal beings from the Heaven Realm natives. Fang Chen was filled with curiosity. The Heaven Realm natives, I wonder what kind of people they are. To rule the entire Heaven Realm and create so many civilizations, they must be some kind of special race. The woman in black said, Wasn't that in the remnant soul's memory fragments? Fang Chen suddenly remembered those strange creatures with white wings. It clicked, so those are the people of the Heaven Realm. As he spoke, he tried staining the beans with his blood and tossing them onto the ground. After a puff of white smoke, dozens of Fang Chens appeared on the ground, their auras identical to his. I'll destroy this temporary array disk. It'll teleport us and the bean clones to a random spot nearby. The ancient giants won't be able to tell which one is the real deal. As long as your luck isn't absolute trash, you'll make it out fine. Fang Chen relaxed. He had the spatial mark as long as the 5-star Giant King didn't personally block him. He could cruise back to the Black Cloud stronghold. Besides, why would a 5-star Giant King give a damn about a small fry like him? He'd obviously go all out to corner the woman in black. Fang Chen took a deep breath. I'm ready. The woman in black nodded. With a single thought, the pitch-black array disk began to emit a rapid, fire-cracking sound. A moment later, it exploded with a sharp bang. Chaotic spatial power swept Fang Chen, the woman, and over 100 bean clones away, scattering them in every direction. Fang Chen's world spun until everything suddenly brightened. He was out. Bean clones were flying everywhere around him. Roars erupted behind them as the Giant Kings, caught off guard, unleashed their powers to snatch the clones. Almost every single one of them was hunting the woman. Not a single Giant King cared about some kid from the Central Plains. He prepared to activate the spatial mark with a thought. To his shock, the spatial mark failed. There was only one reason for this: someone nearby was suppressing his spatial transport. Leaving so soon. A cold, indifferent, and majestic voice descended from above. Fang Chen looked up, his heart nearly stopping in his chest. The 5-star Giant King was waiting for him, as if he'd predicted exactly where Fang Chen would use teleportation. Fang Chen's mind went blank. Wasn't the 5-star Giant King supposed to be hunting the woman? Why was he ignoring her to fixate on him? The bean clones were quickly wiped out, and the woman had already made her clean getaway. The Giant Kings closed in, staring at Fang Chen like he was the unluckiest bastard alive. Luzhu rushed over, her face a mask of pure shock. Fang Chen was still alive, and the 5-star Giant King had actually ignored his main enemy just to intercept him. Could Fang Chen be a bigger threat than the 4-crown Shura King? The Stone Giant King gave a cruel laugh. My king, hand this brat over to me. Since he's so eager to survive, I'll eat him alive. Luzhu opened her mouth, wanting to plead for him. Fang Chen was useless now. The blood seal of the chaotic antiquity blood marquis hadn't killed the 4-crown Shura King, so the 5-star Giant King definitely wouldn't let him live. He'd be disposed of as soon as the Soul Giant King finished the soul scouring. To Luzhu's utter surprise, the 5-star Giant King said coldly, he cannot die. Luzhu was stunned, the other Giant Kings were confused, and even Fang Chen was left gaping. He had been certain his time was up. Remembering how the 5-star Giant King was waiting right where he appeared, Fang Chen began to piece it together. Had the king used foresight on him? Had he seen a glimpse of the future? In fact, that was exactly what happened. When Fang Chen hadn't emerged and the 4-crown Shura King refused to die, the 5-star Giant King tapped into his origin source to peer into the future. He had seen a specific scene, Fang Chen holding a Sage Crystal Marrow. That item could revert transformed ancient giants back to their original state. It was a far greater threat than the 4-crown Shura King. So, he had burned his origin source to predict Fang Chen's future, discovered he would use teleportation to appear here and lay in wait to trap him. All of you follow me. The 5-star Giant King stepped onto his ancient war chariot and headed toward the Black Cloud stronghold. In his vision, that was where Fang Chen would obtain the Sage Crystal Marrow. He needed Fang Chen to get the Sage Crystal Marrow, and then he would force him to hand it over. The Giant Kings quickly followed. Luzhu rushed to Fang Chen's side, feeling a mix of relief at his survival and lingering doubt. Husband, you ran into that venomous woman. She didn't hurt you. It didn't make sense, seeing Fang Chen covered in fragments of the abyssal hell crystal. The woman should have been furious enough to kill him on the spot. Fang Chen instinctively reached out to hug Luzhu, but froze. Hugging Luzhu meant hugging the woman in black. Awkwardly, he pulled his hand back. She treated me quite well, Fang Chen transmitted using silent Zen. Luzhu looked utterly stunned. Treated you well? What on earth did you two talk about? About how to sell you to me, of course. Fang Chen chuckled. We talked about life, shared our dreams. It was actually a great vibe. Luzhu eyed him suspiciously. That toxic woman having a nice chat with you. She thinks she's the smartest person in the world. Fang Chen gave a noncommittal shrug. Lucky her, Luzhu muttered, clearly frustrated, letting her get away. But as she looked at Fang Chen, a wave of genuine relief washed over her face. You're alive. If the 5-star Giant King doesn't kill you, let's actually be husband and wife. Fang Chen couldn't help but laugh, teasing her. By the way, what did you promise you'd do when I got back? Luzhu blinked, the memory suddenly hitting her. Back when she thought he was marching to his death, she had recklessly promised to serve him well upon his return. Her pretty face instantly flushed crimson, too embarrassed to squeak out a reply. Just messing with you. Fang Chen chuckled softly, his tone turning gentle. Whether I make it out of this alive or not, take care of yourself. Even if you're on your own, you have to live well. Luzhu froze. She had framed him, yet he was returning it with nothing but warmth. Did she really deserve a husband like this? Fang Chen, why are you so good to me? She asked, consumed by guilt. Fang Chen smiled. You're my wife. Why are you calling me by my name? Fix it. Luzhu gazed deeply into his eyes and said earnestly, husband. Fang Chen smiled in response. Half a day later, the group arrived at the Black Cloud stronghold. Staring at the familiar sights of the Black Cloud stronghold, Fang Chen felt a bit lost. He thought the 5-star Giant King was taking him somewhere else. After all this, why bring him here? Was the sky-touching black pillar hidden inside the stronghold? If he could somehow break into the stronghold, he'd be completely safe. I need you to go into the stronghold and retrieve the Saint Crystal Mold. The 5-star Giant King locked eyes with him. Fang Chen blinked, wondering if he had heard right. Sending him into the stronghold, wasn't that a total suicide mission, a guaranteed one-way trip? At the same time, Fang Chen finally understood why the 5-star Giant King had intercepted him. The giant had likely foreseen him obtaining the Sage Crystal Marrow. But what baffled Fang Chen was, didn't the Stone Giant King report to the others that the Black Cloud stronghold had the Sage Crystal Marrow? Coupling that with the fact that the Stone Giant King had caught a Dark Knight Black Snake capable of poisoning a Giant King, Fang Chen couldn't help but cast a suspicious glance at the Stone Giant King. Was this guy plotting something against the ancient giants behind the other Giant Kings' backs? Sensing Fang Chen's gaze, the Stone Giant King feigned ignorance and looked away, completely guilt-ridden. Fortunately, Fang Chen simply gave him a meaningful look and didn't expose him. Instead, he turned to the 5-star Giant King. Where is the Sage Crystal Marrow? The 5-star Giant King pointed at the stronghold. Once you enter, you will naturally obtain it. The Soul Giant King looked puzzled. King, why not send Luzhu down to find it? She's from the Asura clan. She can come and go as she pleases. This small stronghold doesn't have an Asura king guarding it. Luzhu could find it easily. Finding the Sage Crystal Marrow is too important. We should leave it to our own. He was genuinely baffled. Why did it have to be this Central Plains human? The 5-star Giant King's voice was cold and detached. Let him go. The future could not be easily altered. He had tried to change the events he had foreseen before, and the price was steep. One of those times, it had nearly cost him his life. The vision he saw this time showed Fang Chen obtaining the Sage Crystal Marrow. If he forcibly changed this future, he would pay the price. At best, one of the stars in his foresight origin source would shatter, dropping his cultivation back to a 4-star Giant King. At worst, he would perish entirely. The Soul Giant King frowned. What if he doesn't come back? The 5-star Giant King pondered for a moment. That was indeed a problem. The rules of the stronghold were absolute. Even he, a 5-star Giant King, had to abide by them. If Fang Chen hid inside and refused to come out, the giant's overwhelming power wouldn't mean a thing. He would just have to send Luzhu in to drag him out. But remembering how Luzhu had thrown herself in front of this Central Plains human to protect him, the 5-star Giant King's eyes narrowed thoughtfully. Fang Chen's heart pounded against his ribs. He was moments away from freedom. Once inside the Black Cloud stronghold, he could make a beeline for the sky, touching Black Pillar, and escape straight back to the Central Plains. But the 5-star Giant King's next words, spoken after a brief pause, made his stomach drop. To ensure he doesn't pull any tricks, confiscate something of value from him. The Soul Giant King nodded and stalked toward Fang Chen. Central Plains human, hand over everything you have. Fang Chen carried way too much on him. Forget the Heavenly Thunderstone and its contents. There was also the little Killin. None of these were things he could afford to lose. He was practically at the finish line, and they hit him with this. What could he do? Nothing he had could be used as collateral. Then a figure flashed through Fang Chen's mind. How could he have forgotten his dear brother, Wang Chongsu? With a flick of his mind, his consciousness dove into the spatial mirror. The moment he entered, he was met with a series of dull thuds. Squinting, he saw Jian Weishuang panting heavily, winding up a small spiked club to bludgeon Wang Chongsu into unconsciousness. Spotting Fang Chen, she looked at him like he was her savior. Finally, you're here. This guy's skull is getting ridiculously thick. I almost couldn't knock him out. Wang Chongsu had practically developed an iron skull by now. Fang Chen chuckled. Thanks for your hard work lately. It's all over now. He's got a new home to go to. Jian Weishuang blinked in surprise. Where are you sending him? Fang Chen unfastened Wang Chongsu's chains, giving his head an affectionate pat. Somewhere nice. Snapping his consciousness back to reality, Fang Chen looked at the 5-star Giant King. I really don't know what you guys are so worried about. If I hide in there, Luzhu can just waltz in and drag me back out, right? Grumbling, he patted himself down, pretending to search his pockets. Let's see what I've got on me. He quickly whipped out a spatial mirror, putting on a show of activating it. The unconscious Wang Chongsu tumbled out onto the ground. Fang Chen gasped in mock bewilderment. Whoa, there's a person in here. Who is this guy? Why is he with me? Could he be my dear brother? The Giant Kings exchanged deadpan looks. Just how thoroughly had Luzhu scrubbed his memories for him to forget he was carrying an entire person? The 5-star Giant King stared at the slumped form of Wang Chongsu, his eyes narrowing into slits. Such heavy karmic ties surrounding this human. Though he couldn't physically see the massive providence radiating from Wang Chongsu, he could vaguely sense it. Wang Chongsu was profoundly unique, swathed in monumental karma. He was absolutely no ordinary figure. Fang Chen scowled defensively. Then I'll leave him with you as collateral. He might be a brother who's been through life and death with me. Keep your hands off him until I return. The 5-star Giant King gave a cold, dismissive nod. Go. Once an anomaly like this fell into his hands, did Fang Chen really think he'd ever get him back? Feigning deep reluctance, Fang Chen looked back at Wang Chongsu with every step he took. He was so heartbroken, he nearly burst out laughing. Brother Wang, the Heaven Realm is your home now. With that, he stepped into the stronghold. The moment he crossed the threshold, a massive weight lifted from his chest, but it still wasn't enough. Because Luzhu could easily waltz in at any moment and drag him back out. Venturing deeper into the stronghold, he realized it was completely deserted. His stomach clenched. Where is everyone? The most crucial person was the young master of Black Cloud Stronghold, Shan Feng. It was for the St. Crystal Mold in Shan Feng's possession that he had risked his neck following Mingyi in the first place. That decision had sparked a domino effect of near-death encounters, nearly costing him his life in the Heaven Realm. If Shan Feng had vanished along with the St. Crystal Mold, Fang Chen was ready to cough up blood in frustration. Since the place was empty, he made a beeline for the secret chamber holding the sky-touching black pillar. Inside the secret chamber, there was only a single, exceptionally burly man standing there. Fang Chen recognized him instantly. Shocked, he blurted out, "Senior Venerable Heart Demon, what are you doing here?" The man before him was none other than the Venerable from the Sanctuary of Myriad Tribulations. Venerable Heart Demon eyed Fang Chen with blatant astonishment. "You really are something, kid." He laughed. "The other scouts booked it back ages ago. You're the only one who got stuck in the Heaven Realm. We all thought you were dead. When the Grand Libationer said you were still kicking and sent me to extract you, I barely believed him." It clicked for Fang Chen. The Grand Libationer had been watching his every move this whole time. He had proactively sent Venerable Heart Demon up here to sort out the mess at Black Cloud Stronghold. "Then where is everyone from Black Cloud Stronghold?" Fang Chen quickly asked. Venerable Heart Demon said the Grand Libationer ordered them to the Central Plains, and they have all been settled in the Directorate of Astronomy. With that, he took out a wooden box and said, "A young man among them asked me to hand this to you." Fang Chen knew it was from Shan Feng and quickly accepted it. Venerable Heart Demon glanced outside the stronghold and said, "Go down quickly." He was the first to leap into the sky, touching Black Pillar. Fang Chen, however, opened the wooden box first to inspect it. A crystal radiating a holy aura caught his eye. It was identical to the one Jurai had brought before. Fang Chen gripped it in his palm, a smile appearing on his face. "The Sage Crystal Marrow is finally mine." He put it back into the wooden box and prepared to enter the sky, touching Black Pillar. After a brief thought, he took out a jade slip, pressed it to his forehead to record a message, and placed it next to the sky-touching Black Pillar. Having done this, he retrieved the golden lotus he had cast into the sky-touching Black Pillar, allowing the pillar to reveal itself, and then he jumped down. Outside the Black Cloud Stronghold, 5 Giant Kings and a 2-Round Shura King waited quietly. The 5-star Giant King remained calm, confident that Fang Chen would return soon. An incense stick's time passed, but the Black Cloud Stronghold remained dead silent, with only the howling wind sweeping across their faces. The Stone Giant King said with some suspicion, "Isn't it a bit too quiet?" The crowd began to murmur, could Fang Chen have run away? But where could he go? The Black Cloud Stronghold was completely sealed off, with their current location being the only exit. It was possible for Fang Chen to hide, but escaping was absolutely out of the question. The time it takes to drink a cup of tea passed, and the Black Cloud Stronghold was as silent as the grave, without the slightest sign of movement. Now everyone began to feel uneasy. The Stone Giant King said, "Could that guy really have slipped away? He's slipperier than a rabbit." The 5-star Giant King, who had remained silent all this time, narrowed his eyes slightly. After a moment's hesitation, he said, "Luzhu, go take a look." Luzhu was also bewildered. Could Fang Chen have vanished into thin air just by going inside? She offered a cupped fist salute and said, "Yes," immediately. She blurred into an afterimage and entered the Black Cloud Stronghold. To her, the Black Cloud Stronghold was simply too small. With a casual sweep of her senses, she could perceive the entire stronghold. She couldn't sense a single living soul, including Fang Chen, which made her heart skip a beat. Could something have happened to Fang Chen? Feeling a surge of anxiety, she called out, "Husband, husband." But the stronghold was dead silent, with only her own echoes answering her. A secret chamber caught her attention. There seemed to be a faint fluctuation of spiritual energy inside. She rushed in to investigate. Pushing open the door of the secret chamber, a black pillar came into view. The sky, touching black pillar. It was in the black cloud stronghold all along. It seems Wang Chong used the sky-touching black pillar to return to the central land realm. She took a couple of steps forward, her mind struggling to process what was happening. She stood dazed for a moment. 5 giant kings plus an Asura king, gathering almost all the deity transformation realm experts of the Black Sun Royal Court, had escorted Wang Chong here just so he could fetch the Sage Crystal Marrow. Yet, as it turned out, the sky-touching black pillar was right here, and he had run off with the Sage Crystal Marrow. Was this an escort? They had literally escorted him to his departure. She had heard of throwing a meat bun at a dog, never to return, but they had literally stuffed the meat bun into the dog's mouth. The kind where if the dog didn't want to eat, they would pry its jaws open and force the meat bun in. Heavens, what have we done? Luzhu felt her head spin. It took her a long moment to recover. She consoled herself, saying, "This was entirely the giant king's doing. It has nothing to do with me. They are the ones losing face, which has absolutely nothing to do with Luzhu." Yes, exactly. Her foot stepped on something. Shifting her foot, she saw the source of the faint spiritual energy, a jade slip. Surprised, she picked it up and realized it was a voice, recording jade slip. She couldn't help but wonder, could this be a message Wang Chong left for me? She immediately pressed it to her forehead, and Fang Chen's voice echoed in her mind. "Wifey Luzhu, thank you for your hospitality these past days. Your husband is heading back to his home in the Central Plains. Don't miss me too much." Heading back to his home in the Central Plains, Luzhu suddenly realized something, her heart racing with shock. Does he still have his past memories? That can't be. She began to panic. Just then, Fang Chen's voice spoke again. "Wifey Luzhu, there is one tiny thing I forgot to mention. That is, your memory erasure failed." "I remember absolutely everything." Luzhu stumbled back several steps, unable to believe what she was hearing. You remember everything. "So everything you did to me was on purpose. Snuggling against my chest, claiming you felt insecure, stealing my first kiss saying you wanted to find the feeling of being a husband, and getting handsy with me under the guise of being my husband." The moment she learned the truth, Luzhu's entire world shattered. From beginning to end, she had been played like a fool by Fang Chen. Fang Chen's sheepish voice spoke once more. "Wifey Luzhu, sure, I took a little advantage of you, but who plotted against me first? You wanted to use my death to kill your sister. Me kissing and feeling you up was just collecting a little interest. Totally fair, right?" He even knew she'd tricked him into looking for her sister, and to think she'd actually felt guilty. She'd shed tears for Fang Chen, helped him refine that soul transformation spirit, and even shielded him from the 5-star giant king's killing intent. In the end, Fang Chen had been playing her the whole time. She stomped her feet, shrieking in fury. "Wang Changsu, you treacherous bastard. You tricked me into calling you husband. I actually fell for it, calling you husband over and over again. Go to hell." Mid-rant, the tears finally broke loose. She was literally crying from sheer rage. To make matters infinitely worse, Fang Chen's voice echoed out once more. "Of course, if you're feeling wronged, you can always run off to the Central Plains and look me up. I suppose I could still find a spot for you as my little wife. That's all from your dear husband. I'm heading back to properly absorb the treasures my lovely wifey gave me. Thanks for taking such good care of me these past few days. Catch you later if fate allows." The message ended, and the jade slip shattered into dust. Luzhu sprinted to the entrance of the sky-touching black pillar and screamed at the top of her lungs, "Wang Qingxiu, you absolutely wicked, heartless bastard. I, Luzhu, would rather starve to death. I'd rather jump off this sky-touching black pillar and plunge to my doom than ever be your little wife." Outside the black cloud stronghold, the gathered giant kings traded bewildered glances as Luzhu's unhinged shrieks echoed from within. "Is that Asura King Luzhu? Have any of you ever heard her scream like that? Isn't she usually the calm one? She almost never loses her cool. Just how badly was she triggered?" A moment later, Luzhu stormed out, violently wiping away tears as a stream of vicious curses spilled from her lips. "I hope your bloodline ends with you. I hope you die a miserable death. I hope you die entirely unloved." Sprawled in the dirt, Wang Chengxi. Groggily registered someone shouting his name. He blinked his eyes open. Staring up at a sobbing, undeniably pretty girl who was shrieking his name and raining down curses, he looked utterly bewildered. The hell did I do to you? Thanks to a certain demoness's harsh tutoring back in the Great Barren State, he had picked up enough hell language to communicate with hellish beings. He understood Luzhu's tirade perfectly. Luzhu finally noticed the collateral brother Fang Chen had left behind. Her eyes flared with venom. So you're Wang Qingxiao, he's roared. I blood brother. Why so defensive? Does it hurt to hear your precious bro get cursed out? You're all the same garbage. She lunged forward, kicking him so hard he howled in pain. If she couldn't get her hands on Fang Chen, she would absolutely take it out on his sworn brother. Freshly awake, verbally abused, and now physically assaulted, Wang Qingxiao lost his temper. Damn right I'm Wang Qingxiao. What the hell is your problem? Why are you screaming at me and kicking me? Luzhu froze, the giant kings froze, the air went dead silent. You're Wang Qingxiao? Luzhu asked blankly. Then, who was that? How the hell should I know? Wang Qingxiao snapped. I got knocked unconscious and literally just woke up. Luzhu staggered backward, the truth crashing over her. Fang Chen had stolen Wang Qingxiao's name from head to toe. Absolutely nothing about that scumbag was real. Unable to hold it in a second longer, she slumped onto the ground and bawled at the sky. Even his name was a lie. Wah, yeah, I don't want to live anymore. She bolted for the Black Cloud stronghold, gnashing her teeth in pure hatred. I'm heading to the Central Plains right now. I'll drag him down to hell with me. Fang Chen had played her so thoroughly, she wanted to dig a hole and bury herself out of sheer humiliation, but not before dragging him into the grave with her. A tyrannical force suddenly pinned her down. The 5-star giant king had stepped in. His face was grim. What exactly happened? Explain. Luzhu wiped her tears, her entire frame trembling with rage. His memories were never wiped. He was playing us this whole time. And now, he slinked back to the Central Plains. The sky-touching black pillar was hidden right here in the Black Cloud stronghold. The 5-star giant king and the other giant kings were floored. Every single one of their faces froze in stunned disbelief. Didn't that mean they had personally escorted Fang Chen back to the Central Plains? The silence stretched. The stone giant king was the first to recover, pointing down at Wang Qingxiao in confusion. So that punk just bounced. Did he really abandon his sworn brother? Everyone crowded around Wang Qingxiao in morbid curiosity. Had the guy seriously just ditched his best bro? Being stared down by a ring of terrifying giant kings made Wang Qingxiao's skin crawl. Who the hell are you guys even talking about? The stone giant king casually traced an image of Fang Chen in the air using his blood kai. This guy, he's your good brother, right? He went back to grab his things and left you here as collateral. The second he saw the face, Wang Qingxiao vaulted up as if a spring had launched his ass off the dirt, roaring like a madman. Fang Chen, you absolute son of a bitch. Tricking me into copying your void retention, thunder energy, so I'd take the fall for you was bad enough. But you also stole my name to hit on girls up in the heaven realm. And fine, whatever, hit on whoever you want. But when you made your getaway, you could have at least taken me with you. You seriously left me as hostage fodder for the ancient giants. Do you have no soul? The more he ranted, the more he wanted to cry. He had never met someone so violently toxic. Luzhu ground her teeth so hard they audibly cracked. Fang Chen was it. Fang Chen, I am going to rip you limb from limb. Unfortunately, the 5-star giant king kept her firmly pinned, rendering her completely paralyzed. Don't be impulsive. There's a solid chance a venerable from the Central Plains is waiting at the bottom of the sky-touching black pillar right now. If you go down there, you'll be playing right into that brat's hands. Then I guess I'll let him breathe for a few more days. Luzhu spat bitterly. The 5-star giant king looked down at Wang Qingxiao, a thoughtful glint in his eye. Wang Qingxiao, you were played by Fang Chen. How about joining us ancient giants? I will give you the chance for revenge. Overjoyed, Wang Qingxiao dropped to one knee. Thank you, your majesty, for accepting me. From this day forward, I, Wang Qingxiao, am bound to the ancient giants in life and death. I will serve the ancient giants and wipe out the Central Plains. The 5-star giant king gave a slight nod. He cast one last glance at Black Cloud stronghold before saying, let's go, we will plan our next move. The group set out immediately. Not long into their journey, they passed through long, abandoned ancient ruins. The ancient giants and the Asura clan had scoured this place countless times. Not a single thing of value was left. But the moment Wang Qingxiao walked past, a burst of pure energy rocketed from the ancient ruins, launching him high into the sky. Ecstatic Wang Chengxi immediately activated a secret technique and seized the chance to escape. He left behind a few giant kings and Luzhu, all wearing dumbfounded expressions. They looked from the ancient ruins on the ground to the fleeing Wang Chengxiao, utterly bewildered. Luzhu gasped in shock. He actually escaped. What kind of god, tier luck is that? So many people had explored these ancient ruins, yet no one had ever discovered that burst of pure energy. It appeared the second Wang Chengxi walked by, actively helping him break free. The 5-star giant king froze for a second before his eyes gleamed. That unique aura around him, could it be Providence? Without hesitation, he chased after him. An hour later, he returned empty-handed, a strange look on his face. He got away. Just as I was about to catch him, he tripped and fell into some ancient ruins, triggering a spatial teleportation array. Who knows where in the southern heaven realm he ended up? The crowd was stunned speechless. Even the storytellers of the Central Plains wouldn't dare make up something so ridiculous. Just happening to stumble into ancient ruins, that kind of luck was simply logic, defying. The 5-star giant king's voice was grim. Let's hope he doesn't become an enemy of our ancient giants. People blessed with such immense providence are a nightmare to deal with. Somewhere in the southern heaven realm, inside an unexplored stretch of ancient ruins, Wang Changxu tumbled out of the void. The fall left him dizzy and seeing stars. Ouch, that damn giant king nearly slapped me to death. Consider this a grudge. Clutching his waist, he stumbled to his feet. You actually thought you could recruit me? Don't think I'm stupid. You just wanted the providence on me. Once you drained it dry, I would have been nothing more than a crunchy chicken wrap for your people. His mind was crystal clear. He wasn't nearly foolish enough to make a deal with the devil. Scanning the unfamiliar heaven realm, he seethed with rage. Fang Chen, this isn't over. You think you can just run around impersonating me? From now on, I'm going to run around using your name. Let's see who can ruin the other's reputation more. Back in taking Grand Province, on a barren mountain within the territory of the White Horse Temple, Fang Chen's feet finally touched the soil of the Central Plains. Breathing in the familiar air, an indescribable sense of relief washed over him. Looking back at his trip to the heaven realm, he'd faced several deadly encounters. If he had to do it all over again, he wasn't entirely sure he'd survive. Luckily, he had made it back alive. Glancing around, he realized the sky-touching black pillar was no longer at the entrance of the White Horse Temple. Because he had moved the sky-touching black pillar, his landing spot had shifted with it. He was now slightly southeast of the White Horse Temple. Spotting his descent, several figures rushed over, led by Bakeson. She looked Fang Chen up and down, her face as emotionless as ever. Are you hurt? Seeing Bakeson again reminded Fang Chen of Zhu Xiang's warning. Bakeson was likely a true demon. Given enough time, she was destined to become a world-ending fiend. Furthermore, she might actually be the daughter of the Reverend of 6 Daos, who had been missing for nearly a century. At that thought, his eyes subconsciously drifted toward Bakeson's chest, lingering on her proud curves. Could the mark of the true demon there be a black feather? Bakeson covered her chest, her delicate brow furrowing. What are you staring at? Fang Chen quickly averted his eyes, coughing awkwardly. I was just checking out the material of your light armor. I was thinking of ordering a few batches for the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion. Bakeson shot him a suspicious look before replying, If you like it, I can gift you a few sets. You've earned a great merit this time. The Grand Libationer will reward you. Since you're fine, I'm heading back to report in. I'm sure the Grand Libationer will summon you soon. Sword on her back, she quietly walked away. Fang Chen let out a quiet breath of relief, muttering, This damn curiosity of mine almost ruined my spotless reputation. Wearing a mask and crossing her arms, Guziner scoffed, calling yourself curious when you're just being a creep. Only you could come up with such a fresh excuse. Fang Chen didn't hold back, curling his fingers into a C shape to taunt her. He didn't say a word, but it was enough to make Guziner lose it. You little pervert, you deserve to die 100 times over. She whipped out a small black notebook and flipped straight to the last page. She had to. Every other page was already full. Only the last page had any white space left. A single notebook wasn't even enough to record how many times she wanted Fang Chen dead. Fang Chen looked suspicious. What's that? He remembered Deputy Pavilion Master Gu taking that thing out before. Guziner scribbled furiously, yet again doubting my size. Die 1,000 times. Seeing Fang Chen trying to peek, she slammed it shut and tossed it into her spatial storage artifact. She huffed, None of your business. Just remember karma's a bitch and your time is coming. Once she became a venerable, she'd take out that death diary and settle the score with Fang Chen entry by entry. She'd make sure he knew exactly why he was dying. Fang Chen rubbed his nose. Did she really hate him that much? Fine, I'll give you something to make it up to you. Gu Zinner lifted her chin and scoffed. I don't want your junk. Fang Chen took out the breathing soil and pinched off a tiny bit. This is breathing soil from the heaven realm. It can make a seed sprout and grow overnight. Don't you have some ambitious ideas? Gu Zinner glanced down at her chest, which was barely a handful, and her eyes suddenly lit up with desire. Her rage instantly vanished into a smile. She pulled out her notebook and crossed out her last entry. All right, I forgive you. By the way, here are the treasures from the heaven realm collected by Black Cloud Stronghold. It's all here. She handed over a spatial storage artifact. Fang Chen peered inside. It was packed with exotic fruits and spiritual treasures found nowhere in the central plains. Some were even highly beneficial to those in the nascent soul realm. The sheer volume was staggering, enough to supply the 3 divine sects and 7 great cults for an entire year. In the heaven realm, the Asura clan treated these things as mere snacks. Since they were considered worthless, the quantities were massive. He accepted the haul and handed the breathing soil to Gu Zinner. Little pervert, just you wait. Next time you see me, I'll be a whole new woman. She clutched the breathing soil and ran off, beaming with joy. Fang Chen didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Watching her small figure run off, he whispered, just how long is this girl planning to keep that mask on? He might have been oblivious before, but after several encounters, he'd have to be blind not to notice. Deputy Pavilion Master Gu and Gu Zinner were identical in build, personality, and even style. They were obviously the same person. But Fang Chen didn't plan on calling her out. He'd let her keep up the act. A fit of heavy coughing erupted. Venerable Heart Demon looked unwell. Even the divine halo behind him flickered unsteadily. Fang Chen watched with concern. Venerable, were you injured during the last scouting mission? The final battle was looming. Although he'd managed to poison the Space Giant King, 9 of the 10 Giant Kings still remained. If Venerable Heart Demon couldn't fight, the Central Plains would be in an even more desperate situation. Don't worry, Soul Masters from the Pill Province will be arriving in our taking Grand Province soon. I'll have them refine a specific spirit pill for me. A province dedicated entirely to alchemy. I didn't know such a place existed. I bet there are some incredible soul masters there. Fang Chen thought of his own progress. His soul power had already reached the 6, aperture nascent soul level. At this level, refining a grade 5 spirit pill should be a breeze. Since Venerable Heart Demon was already planning to ask the soul masters for help, Fang Chen decided to keep his own skills a secret. Thank you for risking the trip to the heaven realm to save me, Venerable. Venerable Heart Demon waved it off. I barely did anything. You're the one who killed that 9th level giant and kept this fool from dying up there. He gave the sleeping Song Ling Yu a disgusted kick, sparks of frustration flying from his eyes. Highest cultivation, yet the first one to get knocked out. You've completely disgraced the sanctuary of myriad tribulations. The kick woke Song Ling Yu up with a start. She rubbed her eyes, looking around in a daze. Whoa, are we back in the Central Plains? Scouting isn't so hard after all. I just closed my eyes for a second, and it was over. Veins throbbed on Fang Chen's forehead. He felt like kicking her himself. Easy for you to say, a Venerable Heart Demon snapped. You spent half an hour up there taking a nap while he was fighting for his life. Venerable Heart Demon felt the embarrassment deeply. You're a disgrace. Get back here. Song Ling Yu shrunk her neck, quickly scrambled to her feet, and bowed her head. Yes, sir. She followed submissively behind Venerable Heart Demon, leaving without a word of protest. Just before she left, a Thunder Evolution token slipped from her sleeve and fell to the ground. Fang Chen's gaze sharpened. Something clicked in his mind. Song Ling Yu belongs to the Hell Division of the Sanctuary of Myriad Tribulations, specializing in Hell Thunder. Could this Thunder Evolution token contain that very power? This was her secret way of showing him some gratitude. Excited, Fang Chen hurried forward to scoop it up and quickly shoved it into his sleeve. Venerable Heart Demon had publicly banned outsiders from learning any new techniques from the 6 divisions of Heavenly Thunder. He couldn't let Venerable Heart Demon see this. However, the Thunder Evolution token was useless on its own. He needed a massive amount of Thunder Force to power it. His Heart of the Heavenly Abyss scripture was still stuck at the novice stage because he lacked enough Thunder Force. Hey, finish what you started. Toss me some Thunder Force too. Fang Chen whispered as he caught up to her. Song Ling Yu shot him a glare over her shoulder. She hissed, Brat, are you ever satisfied? I'm tapped out, not a single spark left. Thunder Force is hard to find. Only those from the sanctuary of myriad tribulations have any reserves. Thunder Force can count toward your debt. Fang Chen added quickly. Song Lingyu's eyes lit up instantly. She stealthily pulled out a fist-sized ball of concentrated Thunder Force. Fang Chen snatched it up. He said, that covers half a heaven. Soaring pill, you still owe me 3.5. 3.5 rounds up, so let's call it 4. The smile vanished from Song Lingyu's face. You little scammer, she grumbled, annoyed. You're unbelievable. She pulled out another fist-sized glob of Thunder Force. This is the absolute last one. Fang Chen beamed. That's 1 pill down, 3 more to go. Song Ling, you huffed. That's more like it. Take good care of my disciple. Don't mistreat her. I'll be back to bail her out soon. Fang Chen replied dryly, better be quick. Keeping her fed is costing me a fortune. Walking ahead, a vein throbbed on Venerable Heart Demon's forehead. As a venerable, it was impossible for him not to hear their transaction at this distance. Were these two even trying to hide it? They were breaking his rules right in front of him, and he had to pretend he was deaf. Sometimes he really wanted to report them to the authorities. Irritated, he grabbed Song Lingyu and vanished in what looked like teleportation. Previously, Fang Chen couldn't even track the speed of a soul transformation. Venerable, it looked like teleportation to him. But now that he had cultivated Wind Origin Essence, he could finally track the trajectory. It was extreme speed fueled by pure, overwhelming, venerable power. If he could level up his Wind Origin Essence, he might actually be able to match that speed. With that in mind, Fang Chen pulled out the 6 Zhang Talian corpse. He had to transfer his Void, Flow Fire Force, Thunder Force, and newly mastered Wind Force into it. Now that he was back in the Central Plains, he had to stay alert. There was always a sword hanging over his head. Venerable Heart Demon, he just hoped his wife, Luzhu, would descend soon and take the guy out. After securing everything, Fang Chen brought out the spatial mirror and dumped Jian Weishuang out. He owed her. She'd been wielding that hammer the whole way, knocking Wang Changsu out over and over again. Otherwise, when the Giant King demanded collateral, he might have been forced to leave Little Killen and the Heavenly Thunder Stone behind. What a mess. Finally, they were back. Taking a deep breath of the Central Plains fresh air, Jian Weishuang shook out her hands. Her delicate, fair palms were nearly calloused after 10 straight days of swinging that hammer. Thanks for the help, Fairy Jian. Jian Weishuang looked like she hadn't had enough. No, if you ever have more work like this, you'd better come find me. Beating people up for free, my technique is top tier now. I'm going home to bash that bastard Jian Linyuan right now. 1 hit, and he won't make a sound. Fang Chen's lip twitched. It looked like he had accidentally unlocked a very specific side of Jian Weishuang's personality. He offered a silent 3-second prayer for Jian Linyuan, already picturing the sheer chaos and wailing that would soon erupt from the Jian family. He pulled out some resources from the Heaven Realm and handed them to her along with the spatial mirror. Give my thanks to senior brother Jian. This mirror was an absolute lifesaver. Jian Weishuang's eyes lit up the moment she saw how extraordinary those resources were. With these, she could definitely take her cultivation to the next level. Combined with the dragon marrow seed he had given her before, and with the family's slaughtering steel to temper her cultivation realm. Breaking through to the 4-aperture nascent soul before the ancient giants descended would be a breeze. She accepted the exotic produce, but handed the mirror back to Fang Chen. I'll make the executive decision for Jian Linyuan. The mirror is yours. Otherwise, he'll just use it to get up to no good. It was because of this very mirror that Fang Chen had seen her completely naked. Better to get rid of this cursed thing as fast as possible. Fang Chen was stunned. The way he looked at Jian Weishuang completely changed. She wasn't just Jian Linyuan's sister. She was practically his own sister now. He accepted it without further hesitation, figuring he would just compensate Jian Linyuan the next time he visited the Jian family. Besides, this mirror could be used to house Little Killen, so it wouldn't have to sleep curled up in his shirt all the time. I'm off then. You should get out of here too, Jian Weishuang said, pointing south. The White Horse Temple isn't far from here. Fang Chen nodded. Thanks for the warning, Fairy Jian. Watching her figure disappear into the distance, Fang Chen immediately set off. Just because his recent interactions with the White Horse Temple had been pleasant, it didn't mean he had let his guard down around them. Their peaceful coexistence was solely due to 2 things, the sky-touching black pillar and the impending descent of the ancient giants. What if the White Horse Temple had obtained the Bodhi tree? Meditating under the Bodhi tree for 10 years might give a first, grade Vajra, a great chance of purging their karmic hindrances. But to attain the Bodhisattva realm, did the White Horse Temple really have 10 years to spare? Their need for the Bodhi tree was probably nowhere near as critical as it had been at the start. On top of that, the sky-touching black pillar would soon be removed. Once that happened, what reason would the White Horse Temple have to hold back against Fang Chen? With a flicker of his figure, Fang Chen sped off toward the northeast, heading back to the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion. To the north, a crescent-shaped lake shimmered with sparkling ripples. The reflection of a snow-white tower swayed gently on the water, looking like a graceful beauty in white robes dancing with effortless poise. At the summit of the tower, Master Chenjing exuded a powerful aura. He had finally broken through his bottleneck, reaching the 5-aperture nascent soul stage. Yet there was not a trace of joy on his face. "Senior Evil Crow, my master has not yet returned." He frowned, his heart sinking slightly. It had been over 20 days since Venerable Mantra left for the Heaven Realm. While Venerable Heart Demon, Venerable Evil Crow, and the Bodhisattva had all returned, Venerable Mantra was still nowhere to be found. Venerable Evil Crow also looked deeply perplexed. "Although your master stayed behind to hold off the 5, Star Giant King, I clearly sensed her successfully entering the sky, touching Black Pillar. Logically, she should have returned by now. Could she have been gravely injured and is recovering somewhere?" At this thought, his eyes narrowed slightly. He had come this time precisely to discuss the matter of dual cultivation with Venerable Mantra once again. By utilizing Venerable Mantra's domain, he hoped to successfully survive the first celestial decay and become a Venerable of the second decay. If Venerable Mantra were at full strength, he would never be able to force her into dual cultivation. But if she was severely injured, Venerable Mantra would have no choice in the matter. As for her seeking revenge afterward, by then, he would already be a Venerable of the second decay. Venerable Mantra would have to swallow her rage, powerless to do anything about it. His eyes gleamed at the thought, "Chenjing, is there really no way for you to locate your master? If she needs help and has no one by her side, she might be in serious trouble." Master Chenjing shook his head. "My master has always been reclusive, rarely stepping outside. She left in such a hurry, this time, that she didn't leave any means of contact." Hearing this, Venerable Evil Crow nodded slightly, a hint of disappointment washing over him. "Very well," he said. "If she returns, come to the Great Yin sect and let me know. We have a teleportation formation, so traveling back and forth will be effortless." Master Chenjing bowed, understood. Under his respectful watch, Venerable Evil Crow soared into the sky and vanished. Master Chenjing's eyes darted around before he immediately slipped back into a secret chamber inside the White Tower. The secret chamber was protected by a venerable level seal. It was none other than Venerable Mantra's Immortal's abode. "Time is critical. Forgive the intrusion." He muttered an incantation, breaking the seal on the Immortal's abode. Inside the Immortal's abode, the first thing he saw was a small pond. It was filled with Kainuan spirit fish, the ones some old angler had once tried to poach. To prevent another visit, Venerable Mantra had moved them inside the Immortal's abode. But he wasn't here for the fish. He was looking for a mirror hanging by the bed. Venerable Mantra reflected on himself in this mirror every day, and over time it had absorbed a trace of his mantra domain. With this, he could track Venerable Mantra's location. He hadn't been too worried about Venerable Mantra's long absence at first. After all, his master had a unique divine ability. Killing her was no easy feat. But after hearing what Venerable Evil Crow said, he couldn't help but feel uneasy. He just hoped his master was all right. He took down the mirror and channeled his power into it. The mirror began to drift toward Green Lai Mountain. Master Chenjing grabbed the mirror and bolted from the White Tower. He didn't notice Venerable Evil Crow lurking in the clouds above, watching with his hands behind his back. A smirk tugged at the corner of the villain's mouth. "Whether I find Venerable Mantra or not depends on you, her good little disciple, he. Venerable Mantra's prized disciple, heh." Meanwhile, Fang Chen had been moving at full speed, finally crossing out of White Horse Temple territory. He had reached the borders of Mount Sanqing. Once he passed the next corner, he'd be at Green Lai Mountain. But the moment he stepped onto Mount Sanqing's land, Fang Chen's brow furrowed. Sensing something off, he pulled out a spatial storage artifact, the one filled with fruits and vegetables from the Heaven Realm. As his consciousness scanned inside, a soul, bird hidden within, screeched and lunged straight for Fang Chen's soul. But Fang Chen was ready. A spike of soul energy shot from between his brows. Even with the soul power of a 6, aperture nascent soul, his soul, shocking spike, only managed to crack the bird. This person's soul power was clearly far superior to his own. Luckily, Fang Chen had a backup plan. As he fired the spike, he whipped out Jiao Huingian's folding fan. With a light flick, a black hole emerged from the fan, swallowing the cracked soul, bird hole. He fanned it in another direction, launching the bird far into the distance. Fang Chen's eyes narrowed. He recognized that soul, bird. It was a high-level secret soul technique from Mount Sanqing. The only person who could have hidden it in the produce was someone from Mount Sanqing who had joined them in the Heaven Realm. The culprit was obvious, Reverend Qiuani, that absolute scumbag. He must have been green with envy watching Gu Zinner collect all that food. But with the spatial mark active, the Grand Libationer was watching his every move, so he didn't dare steal it openly. Instead, he chose to plant a sneaky secret soul technique among the supplies. He was waiting until Gu Zinner was alone in the central plains to strike. Thinking of this, Fang Chen squinted and scanned the area. Reverend Qiuani come out. But there was only silence, not a sound. The guy was definitely using some high-level art to stay hidden, waiting for the perfect moment to ambush him. Fang Chen pulled out a black jade slip, the parting gift Zhu Xiang had given him. By holding it in his mouth, he could detect any scent. As he placed the jade in his mouth, a wave of cool energy rushed to his head. His sense of smell transformed instantly, flooding his nose with scents he'd never noticed before. Among them was a thick aroma of medicinal pills and a faint trace of ice and fire. Before this, he hadn't sensed a thing. But with the boost from Zhu Xiang's bloodline talent, they were clear as day. That medicinal scent was closing in fast. Fang Chen's eyes flickered, but he kept his expression neutral, showing no sign of awareness. When the other party closed within 30 yards, Fang Chen suddenly spun around. At the same time, a pair of emerald, green eyes faintly emerged on his abdomen, the eye of replication. Two tiny soul birds shot out from his eyes. Caught completely off guard, his pursuer took the hit head on. How do you know my secret soul technique? Hissing in pain, a black-robed figure materialized from thin air. Who else could it be but Reverend Qiuani? Having caused the deaths of two of his own 8-aperture nascent soul allies in the East Sea Abyss, he had been sent to the Heaven Realm on a scouting mission to redeem himself. He had headed toward the endless Chaos Lake, but failed to find even a single one of the ancient giants. With zero intel gathered, he knew he faced punishment upon his return. That was when he got the idea to rob Gu Zinner. To his surprise, this spatial storage artifact, on which he had left his soul imprint, had actually ended up in Fang Chen's hands. What shocked him even more was that the bizarre scene he had experienced with Wang Chongling was now repeating itself with Fang Chen. What is wrong with you two? Why can you replicate my divine ability? Reverend Qiuani gasped in pain. Fortunately, his cultivation focused on the soul. Though his cultivation realm was only at the 7-aperture nascent soul stage, his soul had already reached the 8-aperture level, so he only felt pain. Any other 7-aperture nascent soul cultivator would not have gotten off so easily. Fang Chen's only response was a low shout soul imprisoning lock. Instantly, Reverend Qiuani's soul was locked down, severed from his physical body. Though temporary, it was more than enough time for Fang Chen to deliver a fatal blow. Decisively activating his wind origin essence, his speed surged to a terrifying degree as he lunged forward. Raising his prepared purple sword, he thrust it straight at the man's skull. Yet, just as the blade was about to pierce home, his mind wavered. He had clearly intended to assassinate Reverend Qiuani, but upon reaching him, his murderous intent bizarrely warped into an urge to steal. Compelled by this sudden urge, Fang Chen reached into the man's robes and pulled out a long, sharp fang. By the time Fang Chen snapped out of it and regained his killing intent, Reverend Qiuani had already recovered. Shocked, the Reverend immediately yelled, "Soul Shift Technique." A green phantasm split from his body, carrying a trace of his soul's aura. Several chains bound the phantasm tightly, rendering it completely immobile. By using a fragment of his soul to take the binding in place of his main soul, he regained control of his body and instantly retreated. Looking back on what had just happened, a cold sweat broke out all over him. What kind of secret technique is this? It can lock down a soul right through the physical body. If he had been completely immobilized and unable to control his body, even for just a few breaths, he would have met a violent end. Backing away hastily, he called out, "Let's call it a draw." He had grown somewhat fearful of this youth and his bizarre methods. He had almost lost his life instead of getting what he came for. Fang Chen stared at the fang in his hand, a look of surprise on his face. What was that just now? I was clearly trying to kill Reverend Xuanyi. Why did I end up stealing instead? Seeing Reverend Xuanyi sue for peace, Fang Chen scoffed. Stop acting. Are you trying to get me to lower my guard so you can team up with whoever is hiding in the shadows to attack me? Reverend Xuanyi looked suspicious, hiding in the shadows, who I'm alone. Fang Chen narrowed his eyes, pointing into the distance. That's not your friend. His sense of smell confirmed that someone carrying a faint aura of ice and fire was indeed lurking there. Reverend Xuanyi's scalp went numb. Someone was actually spying on them from the dark. Were they waiting to swoop in and reap the spoils of their clash? He followed Fang Chen's gaze, but sensed nothing. With a flash of his eyes, he sent 2 tiny birds flying in that direction. The birds seemed to strike an invisible barrier and were instantly snuffed out. Fang Chen's pupils contracted. Reverend Xuanyi's attack was a soul strike at the 8, aperture nascent soul level, yet the observer had snuffed it out effortlessly. Just what cultivation realm was this person at? Sorry to ruin your fun, gentlemen. As the space rippled, a shifty-eyed, scrawny young man materialized before them. He only came up to Fang Chen's chest, making him rather short. He gave Fang Chen an indescribable vibe, dangerous, yet not overwhelmingly so. Who are you? Fang Chen asked warily. The shifty-eyed youth grinned. The name's Shubuksu. No offense intended, my friends. I just saw you playing cat and mouse and couldn't help but watch out of curiosity. Shubuksu, what kind of ridiculous name is that? Fang Chen glanced at him, then at Reverend Xuanyi. If it were just him and Reverend Xuanyi, he would have found a way to finish the Reverend off, but with an outsider present, it wasn't worth the risk. He quietly backed away and said, farewell. Reverend Xuanyi also cast a wary glance at Shubuksu and retreated, farewell. Shubuksu clicked his tongue. Don't run off, brothers. Any interest in pulling off a massive heist with me? Having 0 interest, Fang Chen continued to fly backward. But then Shubuksu's bombshell of a voice echoed in his ears. I can get us into Mount Sanqing to steal the corpse of that soul transformation, demonic beast. Fang Chen halted, a spark of excitement flaring in his eyes. He was currently just 1 drop of true spirit blood away. Still plotting to rob Mount Sanqing, right in front of Reverend Xuanyi of Mount Sanqing, wasn't that a little disrespectful? Fang Chen just redefined the word scammer in the heaven realm. Bro took liberties with Luzhu, which physically synced right to her terrifying twin sister, traded a fake political marriage, and then dropped his sworn brother Wang Chengxi in the dirt as hostage collateral for 5 angry giant kings. Luzhu is out here crying and screaming because her entire marriage was a lie, while Wang Chengxiao is catching physical kicks just for sharing a name. Absolute cinema. But who is the real victim of this karma? Let's settle this in the comments. Is Fang Chen's survival strategy brilliant, or is he actually a morally bankrupt scumbag for using his best friend as literal demon bait?